Has someone ever said something to you that rubbed you the wrong way? Meanwhile, they're wondering why you've taken such offense to something they casually said. Well, words matter. And the words we choose in our everyday speech and writing is a reflection of our thoughts. Recognizing positive and negative messages involves understanding the underlying sentiment conveyed in written or spoken communication. And one word that you need to understand in this lesson is connotation. Connotation is an idea or feeling that a word evokes. If something has a positive connotation, it will evoke warm feelings. Meanwhile, something with a negative connotation will make someone feel less than pleasant. To call someone verbose when you want to say they're a great conversationalist may not convey that. Your tone could imply they talk too much or that they're lovely to be around. In the positive and negative connotation example sentences below, you'll be able to take a look at both sides of the coin. As you can see, mature carries the connotation of dignified, while elderly just sounds old. Obviously, you can see right through these sentences that there is a positive in mature, and negative in old. Here is another example. When we think of someone economical, we tend to consider them to be logical and wise. Meanwhile, cheap is a derogatory term for someone stingy. Obviously, when you are logical, it means that your decision is based on careful analysis. On the other hand, if someone says that you are cheap, it really sounds very negative to hear. Here is our last example. For something to be a challenge, it is not necessarily bad. You may actually enjoy it. Therefore, sounds really something positive. But, if you say that it is difficult, you may probably think that it is close to impossible to achieve or do. So it sounds really negative. Now, here are some general tips to help you identify positive and negative messages in written or oral text. First is find the positive language. Look for words with positive connotations such as happy, pleased, satisfied, etc. Or expressions of joy, excitement, gratitude, or satisfaction often indicate a positive sentiment. These things will help you identify the positivity of a text. Next is look for compliments and praise. If the message includes compliments, praise, or expressions of approval, it is likely positive. Positive feedback about a situation, accomplishment, or effort can indicate positivity. Another thing you have to watch for is optimism and hope. Positive messages often contain optimistic language and expressions of hope for the future. Words and phrases like looking forward to, optimistic about, or excited for are clues. We also have to look for encouragement. Messages that encourage, motivate, or inspire are generally positive. Positive reinforcement or support for someone's goals or actions is indicative of a positive sentiment. The last one to look for in identifying positive messages is if the text is solution-oriented. If the message focuses on solutions, improvements, or positive outcomes, it is likely positive. This is because solving a problem is always going to bring something positive on the table. To identify negative messages, first is you have to look for negative language. Look for words with negative connotations such as disappointed, frustrated, upset, etc. Expressions of dissatisfaction, discontent, or frustration often indicate a negative sentiment. Next is, try to look for criticism and complaints. Negative messages may contain criticism, complaints, or expressions of displeasure. If someone is expressing dissatisfaction or pointing out flaws, it's likely a negative message. Next is the lack of enthusiasm. Messages lacking enthusiasm, energy, or positive language are often negative. A lack of excitement or interest in the content may indicate a negative sentiment. Next is if you see apologies or regrets. Messages that include apologies, regrets, or acknowledgement of mistakes are often negative. Admitting fault or expressing regret typically indicates a negative tone. The last one that you have to watch out for in identifying negative messages are concerns and issues. If the message addresses concerns, problems, or issues, it may have a negative sentiment. Expressions of worry or dissatisfaction with the current state of affairs suggest negativity. In your speech and writing, make the conscious decision to connotate your precise meaning. Every word has a definitive definition. That's what's known as denotation. There's no room for interpretation. Meanwhile, other words have added connotations or innuendos. So it pays to think before you speak. Keep in mind that context is crucial, and sometimes messages can have a mix of positive and negative elements. Additionally, cultural and individual differences can influence how sentiments are expressed.